coverage of this all-whites build-up match towards the World Cup in South Africa. The Serbian national anthem being played in front of a small but a passionate crowd here in Klagenfurt, Austria, at altitude. And of course, this is the nature of the build-up to the World Cup as the national anthem for New Zealand. Again, a small but I'm sure vocal band of New Zealand supporters have made the trip, as I'm sure it's a part of a journey that will see them follow New Zealand throughout this next 2 or 3 weeks, throughout their build-up and on into South Africa for the World Cup. Good morning, Andrew Dewhurst with you, Fred de Jong alongside as we bring you this coverage of a game that promises to be the biggest test for New Zealand football in some time, Fred de Jong, because the Serbian side is quality and there's a real expectation that they could threaten some of the big names at the World Cup in South Africa.
Yes, indeed, and I think this will be a huge test for the All Whites, and also the All White formation that Ricky seems to be sticking with his 3-4-3. Serbia will give them a real test, and I think they'll try and do something that Australia wasn't able to do, and that's to get in behind the New Zealand wing backs.
And let's talk about this formation, because a couple of the changes, really Chris Wood for Chris Killen, they're like for like, so nothing too much different there. But at the back, the first opportunity to see Ryan Nelson playing alongside youngsters Winston Reid and Tommy Smith, thank goodness with an eye. But it is a good opportunity for these two young players to play alongside their skipper at the back.
Yes, indeed, and I mean, huge game for both those players. You know, new to the All Whites as the Serbian squad list comes up, but you know, it's a big game for them, and you know, the first 5-10 minutes of this game are going to be huge for both Smith and Reid. They'll have to settle quickly, and as you say, it's you know, there's a huge step up, so they'll have to be really on their game quickly.
Radomir Antic, the coach of Serbia, and what a record he's got in the game. It is second to none at club level, in particular in Spain at the top level. But a number of these Serbian players, goodness me, you look at the list of clubs, Borussia Dortmund, Man United, Chelsea, Stuttgart, Valencia, Ajax. I mean, they are at the biggest clubs in Europe. And of course, we know that many of this New Zealand side are plying their trade either in the Hyundai A-League or, in the case of Ryan Nelson, in one of the top leagues in the world. And that experience from Nelson, vital on these sorts of occasions, because he's used to playing against these quality of players week in, week out.
I mean, Ryan Nelson's the key for New Zealand, and especially the way the whole New Zealand defence works. And you know, so everyone will look to Ryan to organise things at the back, and he's used to playing at the speed that the players like Serbia and the Serbian team, at the speed that they can play the game. And so, you know, the other players, they all have to make that step very quickly.
Shane Smeltz there, last second preparations for one of New Zealand's premier strikers. But Fred, I know it's not a drought by any stretch, but Shane might be looking for a goal against quality opposition. It's been a while perhaps since he might feel he's made a contribution on the score sheet.
Yes, and I mean, he's sort of, I don't know if he has trouble with the formation that Ricky Herbert employs. You know, you've got 3 strikers up front, and a lot of the balls coming into the front players are played aerially, and that's not really Shane Smeltz's game. And you know, at club level, he plays normally with one other striker and has more of a free role. And I think maybe that you know, the 3 up front isn't really best suited to him. But obviously Ricky Herbert feels it's best suited to the team.
You mentioned Tim Brown in the build-up to this one, but also Ivan Viselic. He's probably not going to play any part in this game. You would think just an ankle knock for the experienced central defender, so don't expect to see Ivan Viselic out there. Also, Michael McGlinchey with a what has been described as a tight hamstring, and this will test the depth of the squad, because beyond the 11 that are starting this one, anyone that comes off the bench, Fred, is going to be relatively inexperienced.
Yeah, and we saw that against Australia. You know, when New Zealand had their starting lineup out, they looked very composed, and you know, it was once they rung the changes in the second half that, you know, maybe the level of the quality in the New Zealand team sort of dropped a bit, and you know, it's up to those fringe players, or, you know, the players that come off the bench, really to slot in quickly.
And an early touch here for the Giants in this Serbian side, because fans of the English Premier League will be well familiar with Peter Crouch. Well, Nikolaj Zigic is taller, so but he's talked as a very good player, and a player who could threaten to score a few goals at the World Cup, so he's one to watch. So a few early touches here for Serbia. And this man on the ball now, Nemanja Vidic, will need no introduction, of course. A former player of the year in the English Premier League with Manchester United. And that is just a wee snapshot of the quality that the All Whites are up against here in Austria tonight. Shane Smeltz, Tony Lockheed was glossed over a little in that performance against Australia, but of course he was on the road to recovery, and indeed is still on the road recovering from surgery with that rather interesting procedure with effectively a piece of gauze netting inserted into the adductor area. So it was good to see Tony Lockheed return and get a good hour out of the Phoenix fullback.
Yeah, and I think you know, Tony applied himself very well in that game, and you know, great for New Zealand, because he gives us a lot of options down the left, especially going forward. You know, he's very composed on the ball, and you know, I think it'd be a huge relief for himself as well to get through, you know, a tough game and unscathed. So, and here again, you know, it's that with a lot of the players who haven't played a lot of football in recent times, for them it's getting games time under the belt leading up to South Africa.
Just saw a glimpse there, Fred, of young Zoran Tosic, and he is a player who is talked very highly of in European circles. He's on the books of Manchester United, was loaned out to Cologne, and I know that Radomir Antic has a very high opinion of young Zoran Tosic. Look for the number 7 for Serbia to make an impression here tonight.
Serbia, I mean, it'll be interesting to see how Serbia approach the game, if they, you know, if they really want to go out and put New Zealand under the blowtorch, so to speak, or will they be, you know, more content just to take it as a build-up game and just try a few things.
It's a pretty good opening from New Zealand here. They've shown some good composure. And possession is key, and as I say, that's a little shaky from Tommy Smith. The back pass selling Mark Paston a little short. They're able to fight their way out of trouble, and the cause is helped by a free kick, a push in the back there from Vidic into the back of Rory Fallon. There's Bertos, just amazing. He's out there after the battering that he took at the hands of the Australians, and trying to thread the needle here between a couple of the Serbians, and now the free kick is given away by New Zealand. And of course, in the black away strip here tonight, and the Serbian side, who go by the nickname of White Eagles. So it's all Whites and White Eagles, and it's the Serbians, though, Fred, who, well, I guess they're both in their away strips, aren't they? Because Serbia typically will play in a red playing strip, but both choosing their away strips here tonight.
Yeah, I mean, good to see in that snapshot with Leo Bertos prepared to take players on as well, you know, not being overawed by the occasion and the players in front of him, and just a good early tester from him to see what the left back's made of.
New Zealand just content to allow Serbia some time in possession in their own defensive third. This is a patience that is required at international level. Just soak up that temptation to go and try and nick the ball, as Obradovic now looks to open out on the right-hand side. And here is Zigic coming very deep, the big central striker. You can see he's all elbows and knees, isn't he? But again, like Crouch, there's a lot of talk of his ability on the deck as well, so he's not one-dimensional by any stretch.
Already we've seen a couple of nice touches from Zigic with the ball on the ground, and you can see you'd expect with Serbia with a presence like that up front that they might be looking just to go aerially every time, but they like to keep possession, they like to keep the ball on the ground. Obviously, New Zealand are letting them do that coming up to halfway. As soon as they get across the halfway line, New Zealand are trying to get in and make their tackles.
This is good build-up here until the final ball is astray. And it's well covered. Chris Wood, a couple of years he's had in the game. This is West Bromwich Albion side gaining promotion into the English Premier League, and that's a silly foul given away by Winston Reid. And I'm sure that, I mean, he's young, he's raw, and I think he's a great talent, but that's a little foolish because the ball was headed out across the goal line anyway, and this will put the All Whites under early pressure.
There was no real need, was there? The player wasn't going anywhere, had already overhit the ball, it was going out for a goal kick. So, just a bit.
Delivered towards the near post and dealt with just by Mark Paston under some real pressure. And still the danger is there for the All Whites. Paston will stay, Fallon's back there, and it's Fallon who wins the free kick for New Zealand. The danger signs there for the All Whites. That ball played into the near post, and Fred, they only just handled this situation.
Great free kick, just whipped in at the near post. Paston had to come away from Pantelic, and just got a sort of glancing punch on it.
He just did enough, didn't he? But it was good fortune that it didn't deflect onto the head of a Serbian player. Bertos now maintain possession. And Fallon, just that snapshot earlier. How often do you see Fallon side by side with an opponent and he's looking up at the opponent? It just doesn't happen, does it? That's what they're in for here tonight with the Zigic up front, but let's not overplay that because they do have some real ability out wide. Milias here is one of those out of midfield. They've got the ability to score from a number of different sources. They're not ranked 15 in the world by accident. Nice touch from Elliott now. And Bertos, perhaps a chance to run again at the fullback. Just a little gun shy on that occasion. I mentioned earlier, Freddie was content and keen to run at Obradovic, but the fullback doing a good job on that occasion.
Well, I think in those situations, that's where one of the other strikers have to come out and give Leo the option just to play the ball in, into feet. If he's either going to take the guy on and try and go around the outside, or he's going to slip the ball inside to a striker to set up a shot for someone else. So, you've got three strikers up there. One of them has to come out of the line and give Bertos an option.
New Zealand applying some pressure. Zigic is a little lucky, and that's a poor pass. Now Fallon can't maintain possession. Simon Elliott will. Simon Elliott's his performance against Australia, Fred, what did you make of that? He's been out of football for a long time, hasn't had a club to ply his trade for. What did you make of the 35-year-old's performance against Australia?
Well, I thought this first half was one of the best first halves of football that I've ever seen from Simon Elliott. Delivery into the box was very good. I think the lack of football told in the second half, but for that first half he did a great job by just controlling the midfield. And again, Australia let New Zealand play, but still, New Zealand took advantage of that space that they were given. So I think for Simon, he's the guy that New Zealand will look to make the play, and he's got to take that responsibility on.
Toss again, plenty of action on this right wing side for New Zealand. Reid. There's our best wishes to Tim Brown, who I'm sure is watching this. If the painkillers have allowed Tim to wake himself up at this hour, but I'm sure he is watching the boys and wishing that he was there, and we send our best wishes to the All Whites midfielder as he looks to recover from that shoulder surgery a couple of days ago. So Leo Bertos just guilty there of getting the wrong side of Ninkovic and giving the foul away. Well pinched by Lockheed, needs support. Oh, and they're not on the same wavelength as Smeltz or Elliott. Could well put his side under pressure. In fact, here now as Serbia look to turn defence into attack. And just too much on the pass, looking for the run of Zigic.
And that's a danger, isn't it? If you give the ball away cheaply in and around the halfway line, then sides like Serbia can make you pay, because they have that ability to quickly turn defence into attack and expose the back three.
Searching pass is cut out by Tommy Smith, and now Elliott looks to go forward. Asked a fair bit there of Fallon, and he wasn't able to respond. And here they come again, this time through Pantelic, and now on the left wing side it's Ninkovic. And just look how keen they are to deliver when they've got the opportunity, looking for the big frame of Nikola Zigic. Serbia starting to find some rhythm now, starting to control the tempo in this one, and the All Whites need to be careful to maintain their share of possession when they get given a chance. And here is one now.
And you can see the All Whites starting to get pushed back into their own half. They're being forced to defend deeper and deeper, and that's a bit of a danger sign against a side like Serbia, because it's a long, long way away from the opposition goal.
Well, it is the risk, isn't it, playing a 3-4-3 up against a 4-4-2. If Serbia do get the likes of Kuzmanovic and Tosic into advanced areas out wide, it effectively pushes New Zealand's two wide midfielders back into fullback roles. So they've got to be careful of that, haven't they?
Yeah, and you end up playing like a 5-2-3 almost. And if your strikers, as we saw earlier on with Chris Wood having to come back, you might even end up, with a 5-4-1 formation, which is not what Ricky Herbert wants.
And Serbia again advancing, and an opportunity for Pantelic across goal, just dragging the shot. And let's suggest that he was shooting, and he won't be happy because he could neither make force a save from Paston, nor could he find one of his supporting players. But danger signs there for the All Whites.
And again, it's that ball, they're getting the ball, Serbia just about 30 metres out and very centrally. And that time Ryan Nelson had to come out of his defensive position to front the midfielder, and the ball got played wide to Pantelic. So again, worrying signs for New Zealand. They just have to do more in the middle of the park at the moment.
Simon Elliott will be the orchestrator, the conductor in the middle of the park, and Rory Fallon's done well there, and it's something that perhaps New Zealand will need to do a little more when they get to South Africa, and that's under that sort of a challenge, Fred. If winning the free kick is the best course of action, especially with the aerial firepower that they have, then that's what they've got to be prepared to do.
Yeah, and on that occasion, Rory Fallon's going nowhere. He's heading towards the sideline, just a little slight nudge in the back. And as you say, you've got to be smart there. If he controls the ball, the other Serbian player in front of him is going to come back and squeeze him from front and back. So take the foul, get the free kick. And on that occasion, the delivery not great. But New Zealand really do pose a good threat in the air. The height they've got in their side.
Chance to press exactly in that fashion, but Serbia are able to clear. They're pretty good themselves. So it's a battle that certainly Serbia will be more up for, you would think, than the Aussies were on Monday night. Pantelic there, Ryan Nelson. Pantelic with Ajax. Nelson, of course, skipper of Blackburn Rovers. Here's Milias, who's with Wolves. Midlands in England, so they're all over the place, primarily in Europe, of course, the Serbian side. There's Leo Bertos, I think, just a little shy there of getting involved in a challenge near the chalk there, Fred. He might have had memories of Vince Grella screaming in 2 feet.
Hopefully we won't see any challenges like that, because that was an absolutely horrible challenge.
Well, Grella's not playing, is he?
Leo Bertos will have the scars on his shins for a few more days yet, I'd say. And that challenge from Grella, unpunished at the yellow card, but it should have been much, much worse for Grella.
As we're making light of it now, but thank goodness we're able to, because really there's a chance now for Serbia, but just always a yard or two in favour of Mark Paston. Tosic unable to get on the end of it, but there's the threat from midfield. They've got the ability to strike from 3 or 4 different quarters, and it was an intelligent ball, wasn't it? Just skipping away off the surface here in Klagenfurt.
And you can see there you've got 3 attackers versus 3 defenders, so it's 1-on-1 at the back, and it means that the Kiwi defenders have to be really on their game, otherwise they'll leave some of the Serbian strikers free. So important that for the Kiwis that they stay focused and stay concentrated, which is something they did very well against Australia, I thought. They didn't give Australia any room to move, and they were very, very composed at the back. So Ricky Herbert will be looking for exactly the same this evening.
Smelt's tracking back well. No free kick given, and neither should there have been. They can't maintain possession, the All Whites. I stress they're playing in black here this morning, so don't be confused. A chance now with the drive. I think it was Milias, and it was well wide. But again, the threat from midfield. And the All Whites, they're in for a busy 72 minutes, if not the opening 18, Fred.
Well, the All Whites have to do better at maintaining possession at the moment, because we saw that time with Smeltz tried to slip the ball through to, I think it was Fallon, and at this level the defenders, they'll get side by side with you, and then they'll just get a foot in and nip the ball away, and straight away they're on the counter attack. And that's the difference between playing at lower levels internationally, whereby the ball gets played in, and you'll have the defender will stand behind you and give you the time to control the ball. Rory Fallon getting his arm up there.
Yeah, I think he knew it too. I think he was well aware of where Obradovic was, and Rory Fallon is not one to take a backward step, and this has resulted in, not sure if it's a cut or an injury to the nose, but clearly there's some blood there for Obradovic. So Rory Fallon's left a mark early in this one, and he's not being sent off here, folks. Don't panic. He's being told to go and get the blood seen to. I don't know if it's his own on the elbow or the blood of Obradovic. But that was a stray elbow from Rory Fallon. And we talked about Vince Grella, and we should mention Tim Cahill as well from that game on Monday night. But he's got to be wary of not falling into bad habits in friendly matches where officials perhaps are letting them get away with those sorts of moments where, come World Cup, Fred, we know what the officials can be like. They're under instruction, and before you know it, you can see a flash of red.
Yeah, and a situation like that with Rory Fallon at a World Cup with a less experienced referee, maybe a referee from one of the sort of South American nations where this is very much frowned on, with getting your elbows up. Rory Fallon could be in a lot of trouble. New Zealand quite easily down to 10 men in that sort of situation, because you're at the mercy of the referee, and especially the histrionics of some of the players around the world.
Exactly.
As soon as you get hit in the face, or an arm or a hand comes near you, and the referee buys it, you're in trouble. So, as you say, you've got to be very, very careful and make sure in these games that you do play as you would play in South Africa.
So we are going to see a change, because Obradovic, given the nature of this friendly encounter, he won't return. So it may well have been a cut, perhaps that requires some stitching. But Kolarov is the player to make an earlier, perhaps than anticipated, entrance into this one. This is lovely play, Serbia. Beautiful football. And the pity, the final pass was a little too heavily weighted, but just a sign there of how quick the Serbian side is to turn defence into attack.
Yeah, they've got the ability to just play the ball very, very quickly, one-touch football, get themselves out of trouble. But you just see the sense at the moment they lack that quality right up front, just to convert that good work, that build-up work. As you always try and do the same, but just to convert that quality up front at the moment. And maybe they're looking at the likes of Stankovic, who isn't playing, plays for Inter Milan. He's the sort of guy that adds that extra little bit of spark up front, or coming out of attacking midfield. But they can really unlock a defence.
There's a chance now, perhaps for Shane Smeltz, onto the right foot. Smeltz, surely, what a goal from Shane Smeltz. Well, we spoke about the need for Smeltz to get involved and to find a goal against quality opposition. And blink of an eye, Fred, this has come from nothing really, but Shane Smeltz, that is trademark. The dummy, the feint on the left foot, and then the calm finish on the right. Incredible. New Zealand lead the 15th ranked team in the world, 1-0.
Yes, again, and it's carbon copy of the goal that we saw in Australia. The flick on, Shane Smeltz getting in behind the defence, cutting back, and that's a quality finish. So the ball over the top, flicked on by Fallon. See the touch there, and then Shane Smeltz getting in behind the right back here. We thought he was going to hit it then. Just checks inside, beautiful balance, and then puts the keeper on his butt as he puts it in the corner.
And let's credit Winston Reid for the ball as well, because it's none other than Nemanja Vidic who Reid has eluded with that ball to the head of Fallon, and then the calm finish from Shane Smeltz. Well, perhaps Serbia just guilty of lacking a little concentration with the substitution. Obradovic replaced by Kolarov, but Vidic there. If ever you need an example of two arms, two legs, forget reputations, because the former English Premier League Player of the Season, Fred, completely misjudging the Reid through ball. And New Zealand, and the key here, Fred, is they were good enough to capitalise.
Yes, exactly. They're, as you say, they're not taking reputations into account, and they've taken the lead again from a team that's just ranked way, way above them in the world. So this All White team, the formations they're playing, the style they're playing, really is paying dividends.
Now here's Chris Wood as well getting involved, the teenager. Lovely turn by Wood. Perhaps they can get two here. Chance New Zealand, what a save! And then it's played wide. Well, let's credit Stojkovic, what a save. But Shane Smeltz could have had two in a minute.
Yes, again, this time Woods picks up the ball, holds it up well, holds it up, just lays it off, and in comes Fallon with the strike. Great save, and Shane Smeltz just can't react in time. But again, New Zealand causing havoc because they're getting players forward.
Well, Rory Fallon was guilty of perhaps playing a header against Australia when the score was 1-1. Far too direct towards Jones in the Australian goal, but on that occasion I don't think we can blame Fallon. I think the shot was headed goalward. It was a very good save from Stojkovic, and as you say, the instinctive reaction from Smeltz just wasn't quite accurate enough. But wonderful signs here for New Zealand, as they win another free kick, and they're putting Serbia under some real pressure.
And this is a pretty ordinary challenge against Chris Wood as well. Subotic coming in from behind there, and that's how you can really injure someone. Just sliding in. He's got his foot planted on the ground, and then the defender just coming through the back of him. So hopefully nothing wrong for Wood.
He's not the sort of player you'd want to annoy, as we see again the flick, and this is composure. Temptation there to pull the trigger, but by checking back onto the right foot, he also opens up the entire goal, and Stojkovic just left stranded. It was a quality finish from the very good player, who, as I mentioned, Fred, might have been a little quiet on the international stage anyway for a few too many games for his liking. But that certainly will get the confidence levels for Smelts back up and buzzing.
Well, I think it's great. You know, we're seeing Shane Smelts get on the ball more than he has, you know, especially against Australia. And he's looking a quality player. He's not out of place at this level. And I mean, for guys like Shane Smelts, the World Cup offers a tremendous opportunity.
One final move, one final contract perhaps
exactly.
in the career.
You know, you have a good World Cup, and you know, everyone's there obviously watching. So you know, for someone like Shane Smelts, it is an opportunity to really put himself on the world stage as a player, and try and get himself a great contract somewhere. And even games like this, you know, people are watching obviously because, you know, Australia are up against Serbia, so Australia will be watching, Germany will be watching games like this to see how Serbia are going, and Ghana. So you know, we're in the shop window, and Shane Smelts certainly taking advantage of that.
As Serbia, they are rattled here, as again it's poor communication, poor execution, and it's a throw for New Zealand in an attacking role here. And goodness me, Radomir Antic may not have known a great deal about this all-white side from New Zealand, playing in the all-black tonight. I would guess that he's preparing for a few words with his team at half-time, as they want to know it's going to go against Fallon. Well, I thought that was going to go New Zealand's way, but Radomir Antic has coached at a very high level for such a long time. I'm sure he'll find the words, but that looked to me as though it was a foul. How is that a foul against Rory Fallon? I don't quite see that one, Fred, myself.
Yeah, it certainly looked like got a shunt in the back, Rory Fallon. That time, but obviously the assistant referee seeing something completely different. It'll be interesting to see how Serbia handle themselves, because as you say, Andrew, they are a bit rattled at the moment. They just need to get the ball down, maintain a bit of position as they were before, because they were looking threatening before the goal. And Antic should be a bit worried. We've only got a couple of weeks to go before the World Cup starts, and these sort of games, you'd be expecting, you know, your side to be building confidence going into, you know, going to the trip to South Africa. So 1-0 down against a team that they would expect to beat in New Zealand does nothing for the confidence of these Serbian players.
Certainly taking the sting out of this largely pro-Serbian crowd as well. It's not a large crowd, but those that are here in Klagenfurt are predominantly behind the team in white here tonight, as Reid looking to go long, and the flag goes up. Elliott, that's an advanced position for Simon Elliott. He might have been hoping he was caught offside. He does tend to operate very much as that deep midfielder, taking the ball, if you like, off the back three. But Elliott ruled offside on that occasion. So approaching the half-hour mark, and do not adjust your sets. And scoreline reads correctly. New Zealand 1, Serbia 0. Don't be fooled either by the talk of Serbia's inexperience. It will be their first World Cup appearance, as Serbia has now a chance for Zigic, and that's not bad, but everyone drawn to the near post. And really, that wasn't well played by Serbia. The delivery wasn't that bad from Zigic, but someone had to stay far post. And it's a strong challenge. Just as well the ball was won. I think it was Jeremy Christie with the typical challenge from the New Zealand international midfielder, and he won the ball. But just saying that Serbia might be headed to their first World Cup, Fred, as we see a replay here. So Christie a little lucky there to get the ball, but it was good timing. So let's credit Christie with that. Of course, they have a very proud history as Yugoslavia and more recently Serbia and Montenegro. So the heritage is very much there, isn't it?
Yeah, we see that with a number of countries from that part of the world. We've got Slovakia as well, coming from the old Czechoslovakia. So Serbia in the same vein. But, it's the way they've brought their players up over the years from Yugoslavia and the like hasn't changed. And they produce some great players.
A chance for Milias, and draws the save from Paston. And the big keeper was up to it. And again, not quite the venom in the shot that Serbia would like. Just scuffing a little. And Mark Paston always had that covered.
Well, I think New Zealand will be very happy if they can restrict Serbia to shots from this sort of range. As you'd expect Mark Paston to save from there, unless it was an absolute rocket into the top corner. So, New Zealand doing a very, very good job of containing Serbia at the moment. And I think important for New Zealand, they've been in this position a few days ago against Australia, who are ranked 20. They're up against the 15th ranked side here. But now they have to have the quality to hold a 1-0 lead. And they lost against Australia, and today hopefully they can go on and win this match.
Kolarov, it was nice work, wasn't it? But I'll tell you what, it was better from Chris Wood. Now, Leo Bertos wins a free kick. And look at the frustration here. It's Pantelic who's venting most of that frustration on behalf of his teammates. But at international level, that is a foul. And Leo Bertos, we referred to this earlier, that twice there. Bertos clever enough. There's no diving here, Fred. There's just a player going down, if you like, under the pressure of a challenge and winning a free kick for his team.
Yes, and it'll be interesting to see how that gets adjudicated in South Africa, because on that occasion, Leo Bertos, he got clipped on the ankle a second time as he got up from the first challenge, and the referee at that point says, okay, that's a free kick. But it'll be interesting to see at what level the referees in South Africa set the bar for those sort of challenges, and whether we have a World Cup that's where the bar's set quite low and we get a whole stop-start game.
Set piece here for the All Whites, and it was dangerous. I think the flag might be up here though, offside. So it was a teasing delivery from Simon Elliott, but all to no avail. And that's pretty poor from New Zealand. Take your pick there, Fallon. Offside. He wasn't the only one though.
You see good defending from Serbia as a line just taking one step forward. I think they got 3 of the Kiwis there offside.
So Serbia looking to just get back into that pattern that they were starting to establish, and this is more impressive. And this time Reid guilty of just clipping the heels of Milias. And Winston Reid, this recent introduction to the New Zealand side.
Well, he's got wrong side there, hasn't he? Milias has got in behind Winston Reid, and then Reid's left with no choice but to foul him.
And he's just, we talked about it earlier, he's just a little raw, just a little naive at times, but gee, I like what I see with Winston Reid, albeit he's put his team under pressure here for the moment. Let's see if there's a set-piece specialist here. I'm not sure that this will be a strike on goal, because Kolarov, the substitute, with the left foot, and I would imagine this is headed far post. No, he goes straight into the wall, and perhaps might have been better advised to take my advice. It was always a difficult angle, wasn't it, Fred, with the left-footed strike, that the wall or the keeper was always going to be favourite.
Yes, exactly, and you would have expected the ball looped over towards Zigic.
Ryan Nelson's done well to win the challenge against Zigic at the expense of a corner. Look at the determination, the focus. Do you ever see anything else on the face of Ryan Nelson?
Interesting there. Ryan Nelson got above Zigic, so he's a big unit, but a guy like Nelson can jump incredibly high.
The Delivery played in. Paston with the punch. Pretty good one from the keeper. Tosic, though, let this roll. Perhaps he could have kept it in play and delivered from the right, but Serbia will build again from the throw. New Zealand lead 1-0. Shane Smeltz the scorer. Tosic near post. It was Paston's, but cleared away. Tommy Smith, I think it might have been, that got in the way of his keeper, but it was a good intervention.
You can see there as well, Serbia trying to lift the tempo of the game. They're certainly not happy being a goal behind at the moment. They're very much trying to address the balance.
And again, this is a good phase of play from Serbia. They are maintaining possession.
Look how many players have got forward, Serbia there as well, and now New Zealand have the opportunity to break.
Yeah, it's good release of Shane Smeltz from Jeremy Christie. It's been a good start to the game for Christie. Smeltz, though, was headed down a bit of a dead end and had to turn back, but showed the patience, showed the composure. Now Elliott goes long, looking for Bertos. Covered by Kolarov.
I think in that instance, Simon Elliott's got to just play the ball shorter. You know, you've got Shane Smeltz. He's done a 30-40 metre run forward. Decided that that's not the point of the attack that they want to go down. He's come back into their other strikers to maybe do something on the other side of the field.
Bertos. Oh, that was an opportunity to send a tester into the penalty area. And he failed the test, did Leo Bertos on that occasion. So Serbia certainly not at full strength, but neither New Zealand, of course, with Viselic, Killen, Tim Brown. A number of their first choice players not included in this one, but the likes of Jovanovic and Stankovic are not taking a part in this one for Serbia, so they too will be stronger come World Cup time, which is getting closer. I was going to say by the day, we could say the minute, and Kolarov there, and Fallon has, I think, unbeknownst to Rory Fallon, I think he's clipped the heels here of Kolarov. He might well get a card for his troubles. I don't know that Fallon intended this. I think he was just well beaten here. He'd given up on it, hadn't he? Kolarov getting around him. It was good play, wasn't it, by the fullback?
Just too much pace for Rory Fallon there, and then just the slightest of touches as Fallon tried to make up some ground. So Fallon's arms come straight up.
I think he was almost embarrassed that he had managed to clip him. So Fallon, again, in the friendly nature of this one, gets away without the booking. Serbia, good ball played in, flicked on, Chance Shawley. Goodness me, the miss at the far post. It's from the central defender, Subotic. And the flick was a very kind one off the head of Jeremy Christie.
And that's a sitter, isn't it? That's an absolute sitter. Back post, all he has to do is just nod that one down.
He's hardly made contact, Fred.
And he's just glanced off. He could say I wasn't expecting it. It's come over a crowd of players, but look at him, he's all on his own. There's poor marking from the All Whites. And, you know, the guy's free on the back post, a couple of metres out. And that should have been 1-1. So not great formation from the All Whites from the set play, but equally just a horrible, horrible attempt at a finish from Serbia.
Well, right about now, I would think those in their homes in Serbia are reminding each other that Subotic is actually American. He, of course, has played for the USA at under 17 and under 20 level. Has changed his allegiance. Has the likes of Reid and Tommy Smith and Fallon for New Zealand, but is now very much Serbian, and he'll be feeling a little guilty that he's missed that chance for his side here tonight. Still 1-0 New Zealand lead as Bertos intervenes. Now Christie. And again, well, that's a poor pass from Christie. That's just lazy. It really was poor concentration from Christie. Maybe Bertos as well, as he cops a yellow card now for his troubles, and I'm sure the referee has just had enough here of 2 or 3 challenges from New Zealand. But between Christie and Bertos, it was just poor concentration.
Well, I think Leo was saying he should be giving the card to Jeremy Christie here because he just got set up. And Jeremy Christie's got to he's got to whack that ball into Leo Burdos, give him an opportunity, then to take the player on, but just left him high and dry, and Burdos decided to just pull the player back on halfway, because Serbia were away at that point.
It's a good foot there from Reed. It was needed too. Lovely touch from Kolarov. He's been impressive. Here now Pantelic into the penalty area. Can he get round the last defender? Good strong challenge. It's a corner. It's a corner. But it was a very well-timed challenge. I think it's the skipper, is it, who's come through on Pantelic here. But Ryan Nelson showing all the experience in the world. Watch him dive across when he needs to, knowing that other players are in trouble.
Yeah, he reads the game very, very well, Ryan Nelson. So Pantelic gets past Reed, but no way past the skipper.
Corner played in, Paston stays, far post. Might well have been Subotic again, was it, who couldn't get the header on goal. Still Serbia in possession. Another good ball away by New Zealand, and again by Burtos. That was pretty optimistic, wasn't it, from Serbia? And New Zealand now, can they just soak up a little pressure? The answer is no, but Leo Burtos gets a little help from the officials. But Serbia in the shadows here of half-time, with a couple of threats on Mark Paston's goal, a couple of which have been largely New Zealand's own making. They can ill afford to gift opportunities to teams of this calibre, and Ricky Herbert knows it only too well.
One pleasing aspect also from the way New Zealand are playing is when that corner, the last corner came, they half cleared the last corner, New Zealand actually trying to play out from the back, rather than probably historically they would just wellied it up the park and then tried to get their formation back. And this side here with Ricky Herbert, they are actually trying to play out from the back, and sometimes it does get them in a little bit of trouble, but as we see from the scoreline, they're doing it very well at the moment.
Shane Smeltz might have just said to Nemanja Vidic, sorry fella, and can I have your shirt at the end of the game? Because there are some souvenirs to be grabbed in the lead up to this World Cup. Not that the All Whites are thinking of that, I'm sure. Here's Kolarov. Gee, he's been impressive, getting himself into advanced positions, and I think he's done well to win a free kick here. I agree with Winston Reid. I think he's won the ball, he's gone shoulder to shoulder, and I think this is a case of the referee falling for the collapsing here of Kolarov, Fred.
But again, Winston Reid, he's just leaning in there, and that's a fair challenge, as you say, Andrew. And referee giving the corner.
Well, in fact, he gave a corner, so I thought he'd given a free kick, but it was just the corner. New Zealand able to clear the danger. Stojkovic sweeping. Not sure he had that luxury too often at Wigan this year. Much of the play's been down this right-hand side for New Zealand. So Lockheed, oh, this is impressive stuff from Lockheed. Albeit the final touch had too much on it, and then I think he said, well, I've run this far, I may as well give a free kick away. But here's a replay here of a hint of handball. Rory Fallon. It would have been harsh, wouldn't it, Fred? Ball to hand, but
I think it was just collected him right in the chest. So Fallon's done quite well there. You have to be careful with your arms these days. Keep your arms away from the ball. Keep your arms down, probably more to the point.
Well, in fact, you see defenders put their hands behind their backs
now, yes,
in those sorts of situations, such as the concern. Elliott's done well. He's advanced again, Simon Elliott, so he's pretty high up the park at times. Here's Christie. Oh, that's a nasty challenge, and this will be a yellow card as well. Goodness me. It's the studs up challenges from behind that you just draw breath for a moment, because they can leave players seriously injured. You think of the battering from the likes of a Marco van Basten. Effectively, it wrecked his career, and it was largely the repetitive nature of these sorts of challenges that introduced, supposedly, Fred, the automatic red card. And that's over the last 10 years. It's been phased out of the game again, and we're starting to see it creep in.
And again, it'll be interesting to see how that sort of challenge gets adjudicated in South Africa, because that is a bad tackle. So it really is a striker's tackle. He's come in, he's slid from behind or an awkward angle on Jeremy Christie. But a challenge like that can do serious damage.
So strikers can't tackle, Fred? Is that what you say? Here's Lockhead with the throw.
Strikers are better at other things.
No, you've said your piece. That's fine. That's fine. Stojkovic got there just in front of Shane Smeltz, and they look to break quickly here, Serbia. Ninkovic cuts infield. Whew, asking plenty of Pantelic. Reed does well. And that is half-time, so there's not too much added on by the officials here, and New Zealand will be well pleased with this. In fact, they'll be delighted, because it's not just a 1-0 lead at half-time on the back of 10-man defence and pinch a lucky goal on the break. They've deserved their goal, and they've been largely untroubled. Sure, Serbia have had a couple of opportunities to equalise in the first half, but this man, Nemanja Vidic, will be hoping that the likes of Pantelic can find some more creativity in front of goal, whilst Rory Fallon and his side will be well pleased to head to the break with a 1-0 lead over the 15th ranked nation in the world. It's New Zealand 1, Serbia 0. Welcome back. The second half of this World Cup build-up match. It's a friendly, but it's New Zealand who have the upper hand. 1-0 at the break as the first of a number of changes indicated here. Stojkovic is gone, and he is replaced by Jurisic in goal, and I'm sure there will be plenty of changes in the second half. New Zealand lead at 1-0, courtesy of Shane Smelt's goal, as Petrovic is also another to get out there and try and answer the call of Radomir Antic to turn this performance, if not the result, around. It is very, very similar to Australia just less than a week ago, and that in itself is quite incredible, Fred, and it's just the nature of this build-up. It is a busy time for these footballers with travel, with 90 minutes of testing football against Australia on the Monday night and playing at altitude here, and you've got to say the New Zealanders are coping with all of that pretty well.
Yes, indeed. I mean, they had a very, very long trip from Australia, and then settled into their Austrian camp. As you say, they're at altitude. They've come down from their camp altitude, which I think is over 2,000 meters up, and come down here to about 1,000 meters. So, as you say, they've adapted very, very well to all those changes, and now they're putting in what has been a terrific performance for the first 45 minutes. And it'll be interesting to see if they can keep it up in the second half.
Serbia press early, and the header is from Ryan Nelson away, and then Winston Reid again just looking to keep the ball in play when perhaps the best course of action there. Reid's beaten, and now Serbia with a chance down to the byline. Ball back. New Zealand won't want to give up an equaliser this early, and they don't, but it is through good fortune as much as good management. Pantelic is the player guilty of missing the strike on goal, but Winston Reid was the player guilty of being caught a little square there, Fred.
Yeah, and I think this is straight away we can see a change in the way Serbia are going to play. I think they'll play much, much wider and try and get one-on-one against the Kiwi defenders, especially the likes of Reid and Tommy Smith. Try to exploit those holes in behind those players.
So it was impressive work by Zoran Tosic to get to the byline. And let's credit the desperation there from New Zealand. Simon Elliott was one of them, but just throwing bodies in the way here and not allowing Pantelic the chance to get that strike. Well, I say on goal, it was going to be on target. He's going to hold on here. That's far too early to start talking in that fashion, but you think of some of the better results in recent times. Georgia comes to mind, and of course Bahrain in the match that meant everything, but so far anyway, so good for the New Zealanders against one of the higher ranked teams that they've played over the past 20 years.
Well, I think if they can hold on and win this game, I think this would be, you know, one of the...
Fred, I said we weren't going to talk like that.
One of the great victories for New Zealand football, you know, against a ranked side. And yes, as you say, it's a friendly, but you know, I think this would be a real feather in the cap for these players if they can hold on. I think there's a lot of substitutions before the end of this game.
Yeah, there is, and I've just come to terms with the amount of disruption as possible. And they were disrupted against Australia with the changes they were largely forced into having to make. But also, I just think there's less depth there in this all-whites squad here today with the players that are out and missing.
Yes, I think from Ricky Herbert's perspective, he really wants to build confidence in the team, and you know, having a first 45 minutes where you're 1-0 up against Serbia, that builds huge confidence in the team. And so I think he'll give these players the opportunity to carry on and go on with that performance. As you say, the depth in the squad, because the disruptions that were caused in the second half against Australia through all those changes really did drop the quality in our side. And I think Ricky will be at pains not to have that happen again. And so maybe 20 minutes to go, 15 minutes to go, because of all the travel, because of the altitude. You'll see him, and also the attitude of the Serbians. You'll see a lot of changes, but I think Ricky Herbert will be mindful just to keep it as it is for a good part of the second half.
Rukavina, the right fullback there, getting forward. So the attitude of the Serbians is pretty clear for all to see. Albeit that pass didn't belie that attitude. They've given it away. New Zealand can't hold on to possession. Neither can Serbia. Bertos here. So a pretty scrappy start to this one. Reid goes diving and Bertos gets back in cover though. Just get a few touches here, New Zealand. Get Simon Elliott in the game. And he's fouled. That's a pretty cheap shot as well from the Serbians. And Simon Elliott, I think, just conveying that to the opposition. There's nothing happening here, was there? And as I say, Fred, it was a pretty cheap shot coming in from Serbia, from one of the subs.
Yeah, and I think you can see there, though, straight away in the second half, New Zealand are sitting back a bit more. And, Simon Elliott, in the first half, he did stay about 15-20 metres out of the back four, and that gives the space for New Zealand when they've got the ball to make their passes more effective. The deeper that guys like Simon Elliott sit back and encroach on the back four of New Zealand, the less effective those passes are, and it's easier for the Serbian players to mark 1 and 2 players. So important that they keep their distance, the midfielders, and it's something they did very, very well in the first half.
Serbia have started well here in the second half, and New Zealand will need to be on their mettle. Here's Simon Elliott.
Just there, though, I mean, that sort of pass from a side, you don't expect that from a side like Serbia. The straightforward pass, and he overhit, and the guy's stretching, and then they lose possession. And I think that's the most disappointing aspect of what we've seen from Serbia so far today. You'd expect a side ranked this high, that the crispness of the passing would be a level above what we've seen.
Serbian fans are here in numbers. I dare suggest there's probably a decent number of them in Paris at the moment. A pretty good tennis playing nation, and they do support their sports people around the world. So there might be a few that are in Paris for a few days for the French Tennis Open, and then perhaps getting on a plane for South Africa. But there are a few here in Klagenfurt.
That would be a bad life, wouldn't it? French Open, World Cup, then what next?
I'm just thinking of people like yourself, Fred. Jet setters around the world, commissioners here or there, and
never been to a big tennis tournament.
Well, I think I can just hear some violins over the noise of the crowd. As we see the all-white bench, not a lot of movement there, was there? So I think the message, well and truly, just settle down, boys, and No changes required, at least not for now. Here's Reid. Smith, he blasted the pass at Tommy Smith. He's done well. One youngster to another, and then they've just a little away from the script, didn't they? I know that Winston Reid, I think, is on record as saying that he prefers not to play in midfield and is happier at the back. I'm not sure, Fred. I wonder at this stage of his career, and in the absence of Tim Brown, I wonder if he's an option for Ricky Herbert in that defensive midfield role where perhaps he doesn't quite get posted one-on-one as often as he might do playing at centre-back, where he still can be a little rash, a little raw at this stage of his career.
Yeah, it is interesting because, I mean, you'd think that he would be reasonably comfortable.
Well, the flag will go up here, and it has, much to the relief of Tony Lockhead, just dwelling on the ball too long here. And this is something New Zealand cannot afford to get into. And they're lucky that the last touch wasn't off Lockhead, clearly offside. But they've got to sharpen up a little here, the All Whites. They've not come out of the sheds with the best of attitudes, and that's seen Ricky Herbert up off his seat and perhaps communicating as much.
Yes, I think it's important for New Zealand that they do, because Serbia will lift the tempo, and New Zealand have to match that. And again, they're getting caught. They're just taking a couple of touches too many. We just saw Tony Lockhead, that time Jeremy Christie. They have to get back to what they were doing in the first half. Quick passing, 1 and 2 touch if they can, and get the ball into the box.
Good ball, Lockhead, a chance, New Zealand, and the flick on from Fallon just took it away from Chris Wood. I don't know that Wood perhaps was communicating at the far post. Fallon had every right to go for the header, but had he left this alone, surely it was straight onto the foot there of Chris Wood.
It's Rory Fallon rising there. Good ball in. Just a bit too high for Fallon. And he couldn't get up and over it to head the ball down. But again, good signs for the All Whites going forward. And now they just have to make sure that they stay tight at the back.
Confirmation that it is Shane Smelt's goal that separates these two sides. His 18th, I believe, in international colours, and it's a pretty good strike rate at better than 1 every 2 games, and that's a strike rate, Fred, that any striker would be proud of. Not sure what yours was, Fred. Can you?
It was nowhere near anything like that. No, it was a phenomenal strike rate from Shane Smelts. He's a fantastic player and a fantastic finisher. And I just hope that he can carry that sort of strike rate into the World Cup.
Well, Chris Wood clearly suffering from cramp here. He did take that knock to the left calf muscle in the first half, and it's often the case that that sort of an impact injury early in a game will come back in the form of cramp later. It's not that deep into this game, but remember the travel. These players will still be under a heavy training workload. Combine that with the knock, and Chris Wood struggling a little. He's back up on his feet. Bertos with the set piece. Good delivery. It's a great delivery, and Fallon, well, he's guilty of not getting that on target and at least setting up a second opportunity perhaps for a teammate.
Here's Rory Fallon getting up over the back of the Serbian defender. And this time heads it well wide. But again, just showing the threat that New Zealand pose in the air from set plays. And I think all their opponents at the World Cup in Group F will be taking note of that. Trying to make sure and trying to minimise the set plays that they do give New Zealand in and around the penalty area.
Yes, there is that element of surprise that with every performance of this nature from New Zealand, they're perhaps lessening the chance of that being in their favour come World Cup time, as that's a testing ball. Should be comfortable for Mark Paston, and it is. But these days, Fred, I don't think there is too much surprise in world football. Is there? Every match, it seems, is videoed in some way, shape or form. Every coach has a not only a laptop that they can look at games on, but they've got programs they can dissect them. It pulls them apart and shows them the stats. It's quite incredible, the science behind coaching these days.
Yes, and the information that coaches and the support staff give to the players as Rory Fallon takes a tumble and Antich rings the changes as well. But with every performance that the All Whites put in like this, I think their opponents in Group F will start reassessing what their expectations of their matches against New Zealand.
Well, certainly if New Zealand holds on, it will send... I don't think shockwave is too much of an exaggeration. This will make some headlines, but there's still plenty of time. Just over half an hour to play. New Zealand 1, Serbia 0. And New Zealand appear, for the moment anyway, to have soaked up that early pressure. And a couple of set-piece opportunities, and they are a threat, as we've already mentioned. Bertos with the delivery. And that's interesting, a change from the Australia game where Simon Elliott was pretty much taking everything. Far post ball again. Nelson is there. Well, he climbs, and he'll keep it in play, will he? The skipper does well. Simon Elliott now delivers. That's a teaser too. Flicked on, and then just eluding Winston Reid. All it needed surely was a touch from the head of the former Danish age group international, and New Zealand were very close to 2-0.
And again, good delivery from Simon Elliott. Second bite after the corner, and then Rory Fallon just touching that one on. Not sure if he was just going for the flick on there or he was actually aiming for that back post, just trying to angle it into the goal. But either way, it was dangerous. Again, the aerial threat New Zealand pose is massive. So it just shows as well that when balls do go in and Rory Fallon does go up for those, goes for headers, other players have to expect them to win the ball. And you know, that's a huge difference when you think, oh, maybe I'll make the run. And nowadays, with Rory there, you should make the run.
Rukavina now with the ball to the far post. Eludes everyone.
And again, I think the All Whites will be most content if that's the threat they have to deal with. Just the ball wide, and then you know, a cross, a normal sort of cross coming in from very wide positions.
Well, young Chris Wood's night is over as he makes way for Jeremy Brockie. And this, I'm sure, is as much about the cramp that he was suffering from. It's a rare start for Chris Wood at international level, and Brockie continues his rehabilitation from a broken leg suffered in the Hyundai A-League. He's one of too many New Zealanders with pins and screws in their bodies at the moment. Tim Brown, we've mentioned already, with that shoulder surgery. Jeremy Brockie has a couple of screws holding his, I think it was the left leg that he broke, Fred, but regardless, it was a nasty challenge that I'm sure you recall as well as I do in the Hyundai A-League. And good to see young Brockie back out there, and perhaps maybe just a little inspiration there for Tim Brown watching at home as well, that if Jeremy can get back and play, I know he had longer to recover, then so too can Tim Brown.
I think Jeremy Brockie's done phenomenally well.
Oh, and here's a chance. Smeltz is almost through. Surely if they can get a shot on goal here, over the keeper and wide. Well, Serbia almost embarrassed. And really, Simon Elliott knows the opportunity that he was gifted there. It's a beautiful ball from Smith, but really that had to be dealt with by the Serbians. And they got themselves in an awful tangle.
Yes, and I think it's Subotic again, just misreading the bounce, and Shane Smeltz almost getting in behind. And he would have been one-on-one with the keeper. But it was a simple, straightforward route one pass from Tommy Smith, and the Serbians didn't deal with it. And that would be a worry for Antich.
I've got to say, the balance that Tommy Smith provides, and here's a great ball now for Merger, and a great ball pulled across, and Paston saves. Oh, and we've got an injury concern here, and Winston Reid has clutched the right ankle immediately. Now, is it cramp? I think it might be. I think it might be. But this is wonderful work by the Serbs.
That's a great ball in behind. And a good cut back as well. And Reid does exceptionally well to get across and just take the pace off the shot. And then eventually Mark Paston can get down quickly and smother it. But that's the first real time that Serbia have opened up the Kiwi defence. You can see the black shirts sliding across the turf. And Zigic possibly could have done better. It was a good challenge from Reid, and good to see he's up on his feet as well. That's more what you'd expect from Serbia, the ability to slide passes in behind defenders.
And again, with that formation of New Zealand, the 3-4-3, we expected Serbia perhaps to try and press out wide and hit those empty areas and draw Reid and Smith out wide. And there was an example of doing that. Lockhead was having to track, and they got in behind. But the desperation of Reid and then the very good save. Let's credit Mark Paston, because the anticipation, he was effectively diving to make the save before the shot had been made. So it was good work from the big keeper.
He's doing well, Mark Paston, since he's come back from a bad leg injury as well. So a number of these Kiwi players having to deal with quite serious injuries on the road to South Africa.
So a real warning shot across the bow of this New Zealand side, but so far they've avoided a direct hit. 25 minutes left to play in Klagenfurt. Rukavina is getting into advanced positions now, isn't he, the fullback? And Pantelic. Well, the danger there from Paston was that he parries it onto the foot of Zigic at the far post, but it's just gone beyond the Serbian striker for a corner. But Serbia now, the momentum has certainly swung in their favour.
He's getting more involved, isn't he, Pantelic? He's just dropping deeper, picking up the ball. He was the one that slipped the pass in behind the defence just before. This time he goes on his own, but he's creating a bit of a nuisance of himself.
Ball is played to the far post. Well cleared away. And the All Whites just buy themselves some breathing space.
Again, you'd think the Serbians would change that, wouldn't you? They've had no change from any of their corners. And you'd think they'd look to play it shorter.
And a goal kick. So the dive, and I can safely call it that because the officials judged it to be so, from Drago Mrđa. Tony Lockhead just doing enough here, shadowing, and he gets a piece of the ball. That's a very good challenge from the Phoenix fullback. And indeed, that's a surprise, because you just talk him up, Fred. That's why you're not a coach. Pantelic is gone, and Lazovic is out there. So, and of course, this could just well be a rotation policy here at this stage of their preparation, but that is a surprise.
Yes, it is. It looks like straight swap as well. Lazovic going up front, and I think
well, he's one of their better players, Fred. I think from PSV Eindhoven, and with 29 caps for Serbia. And I say Serbia specifically, not Serbia and Montenegro. He's one of their go-to players, if you like. So perhaps that's a signal from the bench from Antic that he wants to pull this game out of the fire.
Yeah, I'm sure he does. I mean, confidence as much as anything from a Serbian perspective. It's a couple of weeks now before they open their campaign in South Africa. So you don't want to go to South Africa having lost a couple of your friendly matches. You want to go there with the whole squad in good heart, and with some good results under your belt.
This is starting to show a similar pattern to the MCG on Monday night. New Zealand are being forced back. Serbia starting to advance in greater numbers and applying the blowtorch. And still no further changes. We've just had Jeremy Brockie on for Chris Wood. You talked about that sort of 20-minute mark, Fred. Do you think now about the time for some fresh legs for New Zealand?
Well, I think from New Zealand's perspective, you'd start warming up your bench now, and you'd run your eye over the squad or the team that's out on the park, and just keep an eye. Maybe players are feeling a bit tight after, as we said, after the travel and after the heavy training load that they've been under. So over the next 5 or 10 minutes, maybe expect to see a few more changes from New Zealand's perspective.
Well, this is nasty as well from Lazovic, and he's virtually got the hand up before he hits Ryan Nelson here, and it's just a cheap shot. And it does concern you, more so for New Zealand fans, given the importance of this fella to the All Whites program. You do just hold your breath a little as there's an extra player out there for someone, and the flare is removed. It's almost like Kiwitea Street. Similar atmosphere, Fred. Certainly
only at finals time.
I do mean that in all seriousness, though, that it's a passion that you'll find it, I think, justified in saying few grounds around New Zealand. But certainly Kiwitea Street has played host to some wonderful atmospheres over the years. But for the moment, it's a small but vocal crowd here at Klagenfurt, who, as we've discussed already, and the majority are supporting this team in white, the White Eagles.
Look at this one here from Kolarov. Flick, flick, gone. Beautiful skills. Nutmeg from Jeremy Christie, but referee's whistle had gone.
Serbia again. Oh, that's not the best pass, but look where Shane Smeltz is, and that's why he's better advised to stay up near halfway. But an indication there as to how deep they're being forced to play. Approaching 70 minutes, so 20 to go. Here comes Serbia. And Leo Bertos again. It's the advanced players now being forced into defensive roles. That's poor from Bertos. Serbia can send it straight back, and Bertos atones for the error. Or does he? He's given it away. Oh, lovely footwork. The cross, it's great. The save from Paston was the equal. Serbia, though, starting to turn on the style.
You can see Simon Elliott there screaming at his strikers, and I think he's mad at them for not giving Leo Bertos an option there when he'd won the ball for the second time. He needed someone to play the ball forward to, and no one came and showed. Well, for one, Shane Smeltz was back in his own penalty area, and that's the danger when New Zealand do start to sit back. They have no outlet. And so the likes of Bertos, they need someone to play the ball to.
Tony Lockhead as good as playing left back now. New Zealand being forced back now. This is a tester. Can they maintain some possession here? Shane Smeltz is surrounded, and they can't. It's wave after wave of Serbian attack at the moment. Shane Smeltz goal, the only one of the game so far. Ryan Nelson pleading for calm, demanding it. And again, this is where New Zealand needs to just try and take the sting out of the game. Possession was, what, I think 52-48 in favour of Serbia in the first half. Well, that stat will be skewed a little more in their favour, given the way they've dominated the majority of the second half.
You can see Zigic there dropping very, very deep. It's a good sign for New Zealand.
Rukavina, oh, that's lucky. Well, it was for a moment. And again, is that Smeltz? They really are forcing New Zealand into a shape that they'd rather not play. Lockhead.
And again, there's no option going forward because Shane Smeltz was actually behind Tony Lockhead that time.
Tony Lockhead happy to give the card away here, or cop the yellow card anyway. He knew that he was in trouble. Petrovic, one of the substitutions, and certainly Radomir Antic, the changes that he's made have not changed the result thus far, but certainly changed the performance levels of the Serbian side. Nemanja Vidic has come forward. Tosic will deliver. Tosic with the left foot. It's a good ball near post, away but not entirely from Jeremy Christie, and now Bertos. And it's got that feel to it, hasn't it? Now it's all hands on deck, and it's not quite an element of panic in this New Zealand side, but the composure from the first 45 is slowly, but it seems surely dissipating.
It's important for New Zealand that they keep the intensity of the matchup and not allow the Serbians time on the ball.
Paston forced into a save, and a touch from one of his own players, and Serbia can't penalise them further. Well, maybe panic can be applied here, Fred. Am I being too harsh? Because New Zealand's starting to look a little at 6s and 7s.
Yes, the ball just coming off Ryan Nelson's leg. And Mark Paston has to dive quickly to his right, just parries it away. Mark Paston really on his toes, not expecting the ball, obviously, to come flying off Ryan Nelson's boot, or shin, really.
15 minutes to play in Austria. New Zealand 1, Serbia 0. And still no further movement from the All Whites bench. Vidic. Space again towards the far post. Winston Reid was interested in making contact. He had to be. Asking some questions now of this New Zealand side. Oh, that's nasty. Off the ball. And Jeremy Christie, the boy from Northland, not too fazed by that. I think he got a kick in the forehead for his troubles afterwards. These days, of course, with the Tampa Bay Rowdies.
Yes, Lazovic there, just trying to get his body across Jeremy Christie. This was the opportunity just before. Players sliding in on the back post. Lazovic, I think it was, with the shot come cross. And Winston Reid just covering Zigic as the ball went almost for a corner. But noticeable now, you've got Jeremy Brockie on one side and Shane Smeltz on the other, very much looking after the fullbacks. And so New Zealand almost settling into what is a 5-4-1 formation with Rory Fallon just as the lone striker. You see Shane Smeltz here at the bottom of your screen, just keeping his eye on the right back, Rukavina it is, and Jeremy Christie's doing a similar sort of job on the other side as New Zealand just try and hold out the Serbian side, but very, very much more defensive than they were in the first half.
And these sorts of set-piece situations won't help the New Zealand cause. The pressure just mounts. Fallon just getting caught behind Wilko Kaká, who's come on for Serbia. With a chance again to swing this into the penalty area. Kolarov does just that. It's a good ball. The header away was pretty good too from Winston Reid. He's a big physical unit, is young Winston Reid. Again, Serbia, Paston punching. And a chance for Zigic. Zigic trying to get the shot on goal. And with every touch that he took, with every delay, there was an opportunity for him to be closed down. And that's exactly what the All Whites did. But gee, Fred, they are hanging on. 13 minutes to go. They lead 1-0.
As Mark Paston comes out, punches, but punches straight to Zigic. And then Zigic, he's just trying to get the ball down. He's lifted it over one of the All Whites defenders. And then the ball won't come down for him. As you say, every touch he took allowed players to just close him down. Eventually the shot got blocked.
I think Mark Paston, on second look at that, he might think perhaps he could have held on to that.
Well, I think on a couple of these ones where, maybe he's been a little bit surprised by them, but that time I think Mark Paston, he's got to hold on to those. He's got to come out and catch them. one thing in the Serbian side as well, they don't have anyone who's an out-and-out dribbler. And I think that plays right into New Zealand's hands as well. So to get in behind New Zealand, they have to pass the ball through them. And that gives New Zealand the opportunity to break up the attacks. Whereas if they did have someone who had pace and was a real dribbler, that maybe they could get a bit more mileage out of that.
Serbia again advance. And again, for the moment, New Zealand able to clear the danger. And Ryan Nelson, they want a free kick here. I think the referee may well have made a late decision here to give the decision to New Zealand. Winston Reid, look at the physical battle here, and I think it's just the clip off the ball that sees New Zealand win this defensive free kick. The Serbians might be dancing. There's a few New Zealanders scattered in amongst this crowd here, but primarily it's about Serbia. Chance now for Brockie. Can he win it for New Zealand? It's gone wide. Or Jeremy Brockie. It's that sort of a chance on the break now that New Zealand must look to capitalise on. And it was Route 1 stuff, Fred, but Fallon again at the heart of it, and so too Shane Smeltz. But Brockie, first and second touch was good. The third, not quite so.
Rory Fallon does exceptionally well, gets up well, and then eventually Jeremy Brockie gets in behind, has a clear shot on goal, under pressure, but still
only a little off target. But again, we talk about this being a dress rehearsal for the World Cup. And if New Zealand is in this situation in South Africa, it's those sorts of chances that could secure them 3 points, as Serbia do try and get 12 out there for the moment. And it's pretty rare that we get the chance to see these sorts of buffoons, because typically directors are instructed not to show them, Fred. So there we go. That's what an idiot looks like.
Rules are a bit different over in Europe on this sort of thing, and they're not in too much of a hurry to get him off, are they?
Well, there's only one guard. It's one-on-one. Get a sweeper in there, for goodness sakes.
I think in New Zealand, the boy would be on the ground, his arm behind his back, and he marched off in no uncertain terms.
Oh, my good friend Jason Ryan's security done some work with the All. They wouldn't have allowed that. They'd have had 2 or 3 there swarming. But thankfully, no harm done. But it is a concern, as so too is that from the substitute keeper, Jurisic. He's hardly had anything to do. He was pretty keen to get out there and play some outfield football. Brockie's given the free kick away. Back to the serious nature of this game, and we're into the final 10 minutes, and New Zealand, incredibly, still lead 1-0.
And deservedly so. You say incredibly, but the way they've played, they're good for their lead, and it could have been more just recently. So, you know,
Merger getting behind them again. It's a good ball played in. And Serbia, they just can't get the timing right, can they, with a player arriving at the far post? But he's been impressive. One of the second half substitutions, Dragan Merger, and this was an intelligent ball, just lobbed over into that penalty area.
Just a teaser, wasn't it? And, with everyone running back towards goal, you're hoping just to get a touch, a striker getting a touch, a defender getting a touch, anyone getting a touch, and there was no touch coming.
Perhaps that's where our fan was headed to, the far post. Should have kept him out there. It's this crowd now just trying to exhort the Serbian team on, and I think we've got another unplanned substitution, and this is becoming a concern. We made light of it earlier, Fred, but who's to say which one of these idiots might have intentions that are a little more serious than just getting out there and making an absolute prat of themselves, because player welfare has to be the concern. And I'm sure the stadium management here in Klagenfurt will be put under the microscope, perhaps by FIFA, with regards hosting future games of any significance. So just a hold up here as we see Rory Fallon Simon Elliott, the looks on the faces, the emotion, the determination, both sides. Chris Wood there as he departed. And Ricky Herbert. So it's what it's all about, isn't it, Fred? The emotion of the game. It is a game that in 90 minutes will take you through so many different emotions, be they good or bad.
Well, especially in a match like this. I mean, for New Zealand, this is a phenomenal result. And to win 1-0, okay, it's a friendly, but to win 1-0 against a side like Serbia,
6 minutes left, Fred,
is phenomenal. And the goal again, Shane Smelts, what a finish! I mean, he's done the right back all ends up, and then he makes it look so simple. He sent the keeper the wrong way and just slotted the ball, just tucked it inside the post. But
let's remind people again, listen to some of the club names: Manchester United, Chelsea, Borussia Dortmund, Ajax. You know, these are some of the big clubs in Europe, in the world, and that is the quality of the Serbian side. They are ranked 15th in the world on the FIFA rankings. They won their group, of course, in qualifying, didn't they? Now, albeit against a French side that is recognised as being perhaps one of the poorest French sides in recent times, but you know, to win that group, I mean, they went away and won 5-0, or sorry, they won 5-0 in Belgrade to confirm their place in South Africa. I think that might well have been, was it Romania that they beat 5-0? But they certainly had a very impressive qualifying campaign. I'm not sure what's developing here, but the longer this goes on, the more I wonder. We're getting Nemanja Vidic on the PA system here. So Nemanja Vidic is about to tell his supporters to calm down. Now, I haven't seen this happen too many times, Fred.
And I think there might be some repercussions from this. Because this is the sort of thing that FIFA take a very, very dim view of, even though it is a friendly, yes, but still, one, objects being thrown onto the pitch, and two, people getting on the pitch is very, very much frowned on, and that's no matter where it is in the world. I mean, we had a recent example of one in Vanuatu, and that got noticed by FIFA, and so this one will be too. So important that
What do you think Ricky's suggesting? Is only 5 minutes left. Call it now.
Yeah.
Call it now. Listen, this is too dangerous. Yeah. Call it now. But it's all in good humour, and thankfully it is. But as I say, we don't mean to gloss over the serious nature of these sorts of interruptions from fans in any way, shape or form. And FIFA will take a dim view, as you say, Fred. And in fact, in your role as a commissioner in South Africa, this is exactly the sort of situation that FIFA works so hard to avoid at FIFA tournaments.
Yes, very much so. And this would end up being, written up in the report after the game, the match commissioner's report, the referee's report, and then the fines that get dished out at this level are huge.
And Commissioner De Jong could well be the man responsible for those fines.
Writing that. Just as an example, that FIFA have put out a disciplinary manual, and in there it says that players being booked for simulation and I think violent conduct, I think yellow cards are a 5,000 Swiss franc fine for a yellow card. So it's very, very expensive very, very quickly when you get to World Cup level.
Sure does. That is a great work from New Zealand to just snuff out that Serbian attack, and they've got 3 minutes to hold on here, New Zealand. And let's hope that all is calm for the final few minutes of this game. New Zealand leading Serbia into the final few minutes here in Klagenfurt, Austria. Bertos is playing at right fullback. Here they come again. New Zealand sitting very deep now. Tommy Smith with a good header away. Can New Zealand get some possession? Brocky with a good touch. Finds Fallon. Fallon looking to release Brocky. And perhaps always second best to try and get on the end of that touch from Fallon. And they give possession away again. Vidic. Rukavinya, who's been one of the better performers, I think, for Serbia. There's Merger. New Zealand, can they hold their composure, keep their discipline? And most importantly, maintain the scoreline. Nelson, too determined for the bigger figure of Zigic. But again, they give it away. Tommy Smith, nervous moments. Does it well, though. Nelson, look at the composure.
That's great play from the All Whites. The ball from Nelson, just drops it off to Smith. Took a couple of touches, got himself in a little bit of a tangle. He's dropped it back to Nelson. Just beautiful, as you say, beautiful composed football. And there again,
Rory Fallon's done really well. And here come New Zealand. Not so much on the break. They built this nicely. And then the cross was a little lacking from Lockhead. Now they need to get back. Turn tail and do the defensive work. 1 minute to play. They conceded a 94th minute goal against Australia. Serbia attacking, and it's gone wide, and I think Mark Paston was well beaten. I think he was turning and looking and hoping that that was going wide, and it did.
Well, it's the first real chance that Zigic has had in the air, and he does very well, gets up well. It's a pretty good header. I think it goes a couple of metres wide, but gets up well. And if it had been going in the top corner, Mark Paston would have been well beaten.
Just seconds to play now. New Zealand moments away if they can hold on from arguably, because this is a friendly international, there is little or nothing riding on this other than preparation for the World Cup. But regardless, it is an international against the 15th ranked team in the world. And this will be debated, this will be talked about as to just how significant this is and what a win it is. New Zealand continue their preparation for the World Cup in South Africa with a quite stunning result that will send shockwaves around the football world. They have defeated the Stars of Serbia 1-0. Shane Smelt's the scorer. And New Zealand's footballing stocks continue to rise. What a result, what a performance, what a confidence booster for the All Whites.
I mean, it was only a few seasons ago that New Zealand won for the first time in Europe, and now they've knocked off the world's 15th ranked side in what was a fantastic performance, and the All Whites will take huge confidence and huge heart from this performance. And this is a historic day for New Zealand, absolutely historic, and congratulations to them.
Unlike against Australia, they've been able to hold on. This is the goal that's won them the game. It was wonderful composure from Shane Smeltz. He feinted on the left foot and he tucked it away nicely. This is trademark from Smeltz.
Look at this, he just does the defender, all ends up, just checks back inside, puts the keeper the wrong way, and a class strike. Great work from Rory Fallon as well. But here it is, that's the touch that sets the goal up. And just great balance from Shane Smeltz. Knew exactly what he was going to do as soon as the ball got to him. And as Chris Killen did in the first game against Australia, Smeltz puts New Zealand up. But this time they held on. And they held on reasonably comfortably in the end.
Yeah, and the stats, and listen, they hide as much as they reveal, but those stats make for pretty good reading. As we mentioned earlier, this wasn't a result built on 10 men behind the ball and try and sneak a lucky goal. New Zealand has come here to Austria. It's their pre-World Cup base at altitude. They've only been here a matter of 3 or 4 days, and they've deserved this result. And don't these fans know it? What a wonderful reward for the travelling support, who I'm sure are with this New Zealand team right the way through to South Africa. Perhaps some expats in Europe have made the journey specifically for this game. But what a day, what a result for New Zealand football. And the story just gets better and better. And this will give this team the confidence now to take something out of their group at the World Cup in South Africa. It's been a great night, a great result, a great performance. We'll wrap it up in a moment or two. New Zealand 1, Serbia 0.